Happy Wednesday. Welcome to Second Lap. We are here learning lessons from walking around lap one of the circumference of the earth. Multiple guests. Today we are going to be I always lose my English skills when we get to this part. The guest that I am privileged to have today has been on a couple of times, and I will name him here in a second. 37,860 is my current mileage. I've had some issues with Fitbit updating, so I think that's the most current. It gets hanging, and I think it's technology. But I'm coming off of my birthday weekend. I have 4 grandkids that are within a day or two each direction of my birthday, and so it's been call it an annual reset of the beauty of life and the opportunity to, I don't know, come up with more goals of how to sort of better my life. Watch out for Amazon. Better my life going forward. So we are bringing Brian Edwardo back. I think he could be on the screen now, but technically
Yep.
he may be. Oh, he is. He is. Welcome, Brian.
Hey, Rob.
Thanks for coming back.
Always love to.
And most of your videos that we've done together, you're walking on a treadmill. So
I'm back on the
all good.
treadmill.
Yeah, you're back on the treadmill, and it's good to have these conversations. I was going to say we've talked all sorts of things from call it medications, probiotics, supplements, exercise, all sorts of things. Today, I thought, hey, we talked about your change in career and your, openness to, sort of go from working for the man to being the man. And I think you always were a man, but philosophically being the man. What's it been like? What's your call it? What are you, 90 plus days now?
Oh, no. We opened in November. So 30, 60, 90, 120. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
6 months. How's it going?
Knock wood, it's going well. It's going well. I can't complain. I mean, we have 5 signed clients. We have a lot of things happening in the pipeline. We have proposals out that we're waiting on. We know they're going to take a little longer, but things are happening. We're networking all the time. We were at an event yesterday that led to 4 actionable possibilities that we're chasing down. So it's going better than I think we expected.
Okay. That was my next question.
Yeah. Okay. When we started this journey, we were told by the headquarters, who help business development, that it could take 6 months to a year to really get rolling.
Okay.
And we're kind of already rolling. So it's going, knock wood, it's going well, man. Can't complain.
And for those that don't know you, like I do, as a sales guy, knowing you're an engineering driven guy, now you're in a role where, you're participating in proposals and you're putting together these pieces and you're carrying a sales. I mean, I think everybody's a salesperson at the end of the day, but you're carrying a sales kind of role now. What any big surprises?
Oh, tons. I mean, tons of surprises. I think, my background, 3 decades in technology, all at the big enterprise level, but I've always been an engineer, right? I never had to go do a sales role. We had to read a bunch of books as part of the franchise purchase. And the one was the E-Myth Revisited. And it explains entrepreneur, technician, and a manager. The 3 types of roles that people have almost like from birth. You're either one of those 3 or a little bit of a combination of both.
Okay.
And I'm a technician. You read that part of the book and it's like, yep, put my face right there. And that's what I'm at. But the book is about how to change your mindset, because you can't be the technician in your own business. You can be, but you have to work on the business, not in the business. So there's a dual thing there that I've had to really, that I'm still making sure that I don't get sucked into, because like I like being the technician. I like playing with the bits and the bytes. And,
Right.
my wife is the manager. She read that section, like, oh shit, I am a manager. It's like, I know. I've been telling you that. And
For
so
years.
for years, I've been telling you, you're the manager. You need to rule something.
Right.
And so, she's got me out. The joke in the family right now is like, I got to put pants on again. Come on. So we got to get out of the house and network. But luckily, that's not a problem. I've, as much as I moan about it, I enjoy getting out, meeting people. And that's where it is. People want to make friends. They want to have a conversation. They want to not make a deal over business. They want to make a deal because you and them, you jive. There's
There's a
a
human connection piece to it that people
absolutely.
totally discount and they think that doesn't exist. And it's a beautiful thing to see an engineer realizing that live here on
Yes.
camera.
Yeah. No, it is. And I swear to God, ever since we started this and we've really started to get out, I firmly believe that people are sick of virtual everything. They want to shake hands. They want to have a coffee. They want to meet face to face. COVID time, like, put everybody into PTSD, and they just want to talk. They want to meet.
I was going to call it the 2020 flu, the 2020 flu. Like, people got, there's a bunch of things that happened. There's this expectation that if you try and reach out to somebody, they're going to answer. Like, that's a 2020 flu issue. Like, I've called you 3 times and you haven't answered. I'm like, yeah, you called 3 times and in 15 minutes, I'm in an hour and a half lunch. Like, I'm doing stuff with people. Again, back to what you said. And I was going to say, I think, I'm going to expand it. I think it's not just sales or technology or your business. I was going to say there is a thirst for that skin to skin, looking in the whites of their eyes kind of thing that people want. They're missing I don't know if it's a reaction to, hey, you caged me like an animal or what. Do you have any like feelings on why you think it's happening?
I firmly believe that it does have to do with that unfortunate time frame where where being social with other human beings was as it became dangerous. Right. So it got put into this bad light of, well, you shouldn't be around other humans because. I firmly believe there is a piece of that. I also think there has something to do with, I think it's a combination. It's never just one thing.
Right.
I think that was a big piece. But I think social media, anonymity has changed the game. People are sick of just text messaging because that's impersonal as well. I think it's a combination of a lot of things. But it's funny. We won a very nice contract with a local municipality. And every time we went in to meet, it was like a 45-minute social conversation and then a little bit of business.
Right.
Every single time, talking about relationships and nutrition. They just went all over the place. And then by the end of the meeting, we were like, maybe we should talk about this contract. It's like, okay, let's talk about that contract a little bit. Like, I firmly believe that there's a yearning. People like to gather. They want to be face to face. They want to know you. They want to see a connection. And it does pay off. And you're a sales guy. So another angle of this whole business piece is that there's so much that I'm learning from a business perspective.
Right.
All the contracts, the SOWs, the billing, the accounting, chart of accounts, P&L. all this crap that's a steep learning curve.
Right.
But oh crap, hold on, lost my train of thought. Yep, the tism kicked in.
I
Uh
I was going to ask you because I think where you were going is you're doing more than just showing up and giving a meeting. You were saying that most of the meeting
yes,
is
yes.
to
There we go.
the social side of it.
We got it. Hold on. So the old way of doing things in the sales world is email blasts,
Yep.
cold calling, physical mail brochures, right? That stuff, like even LinkedIn is still seen as a big advertising and reach out. But all of those platforms, from what we're seeing today, like they're just dead. There's too much spam, so
Too much
mail's not
noise.
getting too much noise.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it goes back to let's meet and have a conversation. If you're starting a business, if you're not even starting a business, if you're in business and you need to, if you're a salesperson and you're not beating the streets, getting out to events, kissing babies and shaking hands, as I call it,
Yep.
you're going to have a tough time. You've got to get out there and get away from what I'm calling the old school methods and start looking into human relationships. Everybody, if you listen to any of the popular health podcasts,
Right.
human relationships, they all talk about the importance of human relationship.
I think I'm going to expand on what you said. So we have seen email blasts and all of that because I'm a math guy. They related it all to numbers. It's a numbers game. You're just going to go
Yeah.
out there and if
Yeah.
it's 100 no's to get to a yes, just go get your no and say thank you for the no. And I'm going to get to. And it's like
Yeah. No.
I don't want to work harder anymore. I want to work smarter. Like I want to go
Ex-
figure it out.
yes, exactly. And I think there is that old, I'm going to call this a generational thing. I am going to go down that path.
Okay.
Because there is a generational thing. Well, that's how we always did it. You need to be doing it still. And I'm over here going, it doesn't work. Have you ever heard about wasted energy and expenses? Why am I going to put time, effort, and money into something that might get me one?
Right.
I'm going to spend 6,000 hours over here to get one? No, that doesn't equate. That math does not add up.
I
And
hear
I think
you.
it, yeah, and we're trying to change it. We're breaking some of the rules, so to speak, because we are given a framework of how to market, advertise, etc., which is very traditional, right?
Right.
Cold calling, the email blasts, physical mail. But we
Right.
love to do walking person, pamphlet full of stuff, find an office complex somewhere, door to door, door to door, introduce ourselves, do that, go to events like crazy. Again, shaking hands and kissing babies. And that works.
Have you and your manager like try to think if like you found like a rhythm? Like, are you guys just both talking independently, but are
Mm,
you pitching together? How is that
yes.
working out?
Yeah. We try very hard to always be together
Okay.
because we work well off of each other.
Right.
And honest to God, for some weird reason, every time we get into a conversation, it goes technical almost immediately. And so, like, I have to be there or she's going to be stranded when we get that detailed into bits and bytes that for some reason people just love to go right to almost immediately. So,
Yeah.
and it's a team effort. This is, as we tell people, this is our business. It's like you're going to deal with us. If you don't hear from us every month, just because we're
Right.
doing something wrong, right? We're all about that human relationship. And we've walked into so many places where who they've told us we never hear from our provider. And I'm like, okay, why do you keep them? And they go, I don't know. So, but
It's sales 101, or the bad side of sales. Humans are lazy. And if
yeah,
somebody gets in there and gets them signed up, I think it's why those subscription canceling programs are
yeah,
so popular, because
yep,
you go in and it's like, well, why am I still paying this? Like, I have one for Adobe. My sister works for Adobe. I've been
yeah,
paying for Adobe for like 12 years. I should own like a server in their farm, but yet I don't ever use it. Anyways,
yeah,
I'm way off on a
yeah,
tangent, but you hear what I'm saying. And so
yeah,
I think people are just lazy. And so
yeah.
you have to, and I'm putting words in your mouth
No,
tonight
no,
because I want
no.
to, you have to put something in front of them that gives them a reason to give the effort to make the change.
Yes,
And
that's true.
is that saving money? Like, hey, I'm going to give you a better bill, or am I giving you a different offer that's giving you?
Yeah,
You got to give them a reason to do it, because
yeah,
otherwise they're just going to leave it the way it is.
yeah, exactly. And we won a deal last month. We won another deal, and when we sat down and gave her the pitch, like the whole spiel, we told her that once a month, we factored into the fact that once a month we're coming into your business just to sit here and talk,
Yep.
have a chat, bring some junk food or something. And her jaw hit the floor. She was like, "You're gonna come in once a month just because?" Like, yeah, it's good customer service. And she was like, "I've never heard of that before." It's like,
Okay, you
and
pause there. Pause there.
yeah,
You're not taking donuts into places. You're too healthy of a human. Don't screw with me here on national television. What do you
she
think you're doing? What's your
requested
junk food?
she requested this dessert thing. It's called a ponchi, which is a
Okay.
Hungarian dessert thing. It's like it'd throw you into a coma. It's this jelly filled thing I'll send you a picture of one, but she requested that. Now,
Okay. All right.
normally you're right, I'm going to bring in a vegetable tray or something because I don't want to pass that crap on.
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out. I mean, we're digressing, but it's like me and Halloween and grandkids. It's like, do I really want to give them a Kit Kat, which is whatever, or do I want to find something? And like 2 ago, I gave out bacon. Like, it felt really good, and they were excited to eat it. But
Oh,
that's what I'm
there you go.
saying. Sort of the how do you stay authentic as who
Yeah,
I know you are in a
yeah,
situation where
yeah,
the norm is to bring in some sort of pastry.
yeah. And I'll tell you what, I am amazed at what people don't eat anymore.
Okay.
I am absolutely floored because we go to so many events and
Right.
it's cheap just to buy the junk food, right? The pastries and the sweets and the donuts. And I am absolutely floored how many people will not touch it. I am absolutely amazed at how people's eating patterns have changed.
Do you think they're educated? What do you think's driving that?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. I
Okay.
mean, my God, dude, 10 years ago, I was talking about keto and fasting, and people thought I was a freaking lunatic. And now everybody and their sister's doing fast once a week and eating bacon by the pound because it's healthy for them. So
Right.
it's become mainstream now, and carbs have been demonized, and sugar's been demonized. And so people are like, "Oh, I shouldn't have that right now." It's like, I don't touch that. Where 5+ years ago, that entire table would have been wiped out in like 2 seconds. It's amazing. And going to all these events, we see it, how people have like completely changed their eating styles, most of them.
Most. I was going to say I've recognized that, and I've recognized the way that people are handed things. Um, we need
Yes,
to give
I
away
would
more
rather
bacon.
bring, yeah, yes, I will make effort to bring healthy stuff, not the junk food. Absolutely.
Okay, good. Because I was going to say, if you're having these conversations, you're talking about health, you're talking about other things, and then you sit down with these group of people and you open a box and it's full of cream-filled danishes, it's like I almost feel like some of your credibility goes away, right? That's just me.
Yes, you're right. No, absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
She requested these though, so we have to bring her those at
This
least once.
specific example, I'm going to give you a pass. We're
Okay.
good, especially when
All
you
right.
started talking about Hungarian food. I was going to say
Yeah.
you had to get into a good conversation to learn that fact in order to be able to bring that. So
Yes.
were doing good. I a couple things. I believe you would do well with physical, like writing people letters as opposed to the digital, which we've talked
Yeah.
about. So I don't think you do it for everybody, but if there's, a top 10 target list of what you guys are going after,
Yeah.
physically writing them a note on, your stationery and putting a, thing
Yep.
and taking it, that's huge.
We're doing
Um,
that.
Okay, good. It just
Yep.
makes you different, and
Yep.
it's amazing. We've had some conversations. Pat and I did a thing on friendships and other things, and the physical side of it is still very important, and it will set you
Mm.
apart. Like you said,
Yes.
it will put you as a unique person because I think, as I said, back to the lazy people are buying lists, dropping these email things, and
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but when I go into my email, I'm spending more time hitting like select everything and delete it because I don't want to go through this. And I think you just
Yeah.
get lost. You get lost in the
Oh,
noise.
absolutely. And everybody, I mean, most companies have some kind of spam filter turned on. So it's depending on how you put in that subject line or body, it's not getting through that, or
You're
it's
going to show
going
up in
to
gray mail. Yeah, you're going to show up in their
exactly,
spam, and they're going
exactly.
to have to either
Yeah.
accept it and um, I don't know. It's like, somebody sends me that email and it's like, I'm just following up on this third whatever. And I'm like, well, didn't you get the message the first two times? Like I didn't.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what, and again, and in our business, in our world, I'm not telling you anything because your world is probably just as cutthroat as the MSP business, but there's so many players on the market. It's all about differentiation and how you stand out differently from the masses, right? Throw a quarter within a 10-mile radius here, you'll find 10, 20 MSPs. Or as I like to call them, Chuck in a truck, who, the one man show who built up a nice little business. And there's a decent relationship with those guys because it's been one guy for years. So we got to stand out somehow. So it's all about relationship building and, of course, differentiation with business aspects of what we're providing to them. But at the end of the day, it is all about the relationship. Got to trust us, right? Got to be a connection. It's not just you're always going to run into it. It's always about the price. Why is this so expensive? Blah, blah, blah. But that's just business. But end of the day, human relationship.
The buyer, and I don't know if this is news to you, but
Yeah.
the buyer goes through all of the same training that we as the sales and business owner goes through. And so price, even if it's not important, is going to be brought up because they're going to try and make sure that they're, effectively getting the best they can. You're doing business with municipalities and, you know, revenue from the population as opposed to a business. So, you've
Yeah.
got to be conscious and cognizant of that. Um, I like what you've said around the human connection. I think that is the difference, and I think I would take it even a step further and back up. We we both have been in technology for a long time, and there's this AI going to take over the world and just going to, the Terminator and all these bad things are coming, and I think you're not going to lose your job because of AI. You're going to lose your job
No.
because the guy that knows how to use AI and is using it as a tool. You're going to lose your job to the guy that's a prompt engineer because he knows how to ask the questions. And I've listened to some spaces where people have talked about it's almost as more important for me to tell the stupid AI what I don't want it to give me as opposed to what I'm asking it to give me. Knowing how to have those conversations.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think those are all important, and what they're all pushing is what I said earlier. And I think you and I've, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but there is this massive pole or black hole of the human people wanting to talk to other humans. They don't want
Yep.
to deal with a fact. They don't want to deal with a an automated service. It's me, and as
No.
soon as it comes up, I hit zero. I hit
Yeah.
zero. And it's like that's not an option, and they gotta wait. And it's like no, in this one you got to hit
Yeah.
star and then zero. But the
Yeah.
point is, I just want to talk to a human. I want to be dealing with somebody I can make a joke with. Somebody that laughs at my dad joke because they're paid to be.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Have you run into the news service yet where you're not sent a voicemail, but you're sent to a screening service first that announces who's calling to the person, and they can choose to accept or decline the call based on that fact. Have you That one is a new
I'm
one we've been
aware
running
of it.
into.
Yeah, I'm aware of it. I'm aware of some of those programs where, there's a screening so that the person can make sure, for
Yeah.
me, as an example, for me, if you're not in my phone book,
Yeah.
you go straight to voicemail. Like
Oh,
I don't get it. My phone doesn't ring, and I'll pull my screen up at the end of the day, and I'll have 12 red numbers, and the two that I answered are down below, and I can go through and, hey, do I want to block those?
yeah.
Some of them come in as voicemail, and I do hit the delete and mark as spam, and I'm hearing that doesn't do anything either.
No.
Um, but yes, I don't want my phone to ring unless I've taken the time to save your number.
Oh, that's a good one. I like that. Yeah, that's the iPhone feature. Yeah, but
Yes.
this is a new, we've run into this a couple times where you're sent to a queue, you say who you are, it goes to the person, and they can either choose to accept or then deny the call. It's
Yeah, it's like a
m-
virtual assistant. It
yeah.
gives you that place to
Yeah.
put in the middle. And
Yep.
yeah, I think, if you're benefiting from that, I think there's some other problem with your business. Like I think there's
Yeah.
something else that needs to be tuned as opposed to that. But that's my opinion.
I agree. No, I'm of the same mindset. Yeah, that's pretty good. No, the AI thing is actually, that's a big part. We're really, that's the new cloud. That's the new cyber. That
Okay.
is the new thing. And so we're entering into a lot of conversations around AI and its use case in the business. And we preach that message all the time. I have been anyway for a while, but it's even more so now. Is like, you said it right. It's, you're not going to get replaced by AI. You're going to get replaced by the person who's using it better than you, or just using it in general.
Right.
If you're one of those people is like, I'm not touching that. That's just going to be the end of the world. It's like, well, I don't know what to tell you, man. When you lose your job because you can't work with a prompt, you're shooting yourself in the foot. But that's a big business piece right now. Actually, we got a couple things lined up that that could be the whole new vertical all by itself. Is that?
Well, what do you see? I don't mean to put you on the spot here, but what
Mm.
do you see people that are trying to create a bot to make their business better? What's the area that people are most
Oh
curious
my
on? Is
God.
it the security side of it? I mean, what is it they come to you and want to know about?
The biggest, well, security, you always, everything has to be taken from a security lens today. So that's a default conversation. But the businesses are like, what do I do? Right?
Okay.
Everybody talks about automation and how does this make me more efficient? How do I make more money via AI? And so it becomes we call it, you're swatting mosquitoes instead of going after the migraine. And you want to focus on the migraine, not all these stupid little things. Yeah, sure.
Right.
You just saved 5 minutes of your day because it took you 10 minutes before. Now it took you 5 minutes. You didn't really make any big game changers, but you take a process that takes 10, 20 hours a week, and now it takes 2 hours. Now you're talking a business change.
Right.
And so there's a tool set. There's not that many of them on the market, but there's one that we resell. Here comes a sales pitch.
Yep.
We resell one. It's called hats.ai, and they're trying to solve the AI spread dilemma as well as a bunch of other things. So, just in the last week, we've talked to a number of businesses that have they HR is using Chat GPT, accounting's using Claude, marketing's using Gemini, right? Because good writer, good math, good image creation. And so
Right.
now you've got three different subscriptions. You don't know what's going on or what the utilization is. So take all of that through a single pane of glass, get access to 60 plus models, all the big boys, plus some minors, and the list grows.
Right.
The ability to provide role based access control. That user is allowed to use this model, but not these models, or they're not allowed to create agents or workflows. You can also create agents. You can create very, very detailed workflows that are multi step process that touch everything. So you walk into a business and tell them, hey, from a business point of view, I can give you single pane of glass, one bill for everything, provide controls. You can monitor it. You can see what users are doing, et cetera. And so it solves that whole dilemma of controlling. IT is all about enterprises are all about control.
Right.
We want to know what our users are doing, what they're using, and right now there is no control unless you're in a company that really has their shit together, which is very rare, and it's usually an enterprise. But the small businesses have the same dilemmas. We're meeting with a company tomorrow. The guy already told me they have four different models in use today by multiple departments, and they're trying to get a handle on how to control all this.
It's like the modern day shadow IT. Like you've
Yeah,
got all these pieces,
yeah, yeah,
right? You got all these pieces out there. Your people aren't using them to try and be bad people. They're using them to try and get their job. And yet they're leading to exposure. They're leading
yes,
to vulnerability. They're leading to,
correct,
or sprawl, extra
yes,
spend, all these
correct,
things that,
exactly.
as I
Businesses
said,
hate.
shadow. Yep. 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 Okay.
Oh, and you have the term right. It's shadow AI. Shadow AI is the new thing
Okay. Okay.
because you have things like, take OpenClaw. If you've never heard of OpenClaw, OpenClaw is a huge, I don't want to call it problem, but it's an autonomous agent that you can go install on your system without any high level permissions needed and start giving it access to your entire computer and then take that and run wild with it. You know, OpenAI, there's a long history with it too, and it's an open source product, and it has a whole bunch of vulnerabilities. It's led to a number of big breaches, and it's still on the market. But you take an example like that, there's no way to control these things because the methods and the tools haven't caught up to where the AI capability is today. So there's not even a there are ways to do it, but yeah, it's a whole new world in terms of the IT configuration, monitoring, and everything. So yeah, it's fascinating. This is where my geeky side comes out. My
Yeah. Yeah.
technician is coming through.
Yeah, no, for sure. I was going to say that I was listening to a space yesterday, and the guy came on, and the term that you hear everywhere, and I know you've heard this, is vibe coding.
Yeah, vibe coding. Yep.
He's like, all these people are vibe coding, and they're vibe coding and creating these apps, and all these apps are full of vulnerabilities. They're full of all these backdoors. They're full of all this stuff because
They're
you're
not
vibe coding
developers.
because you're not a developer. Like that's the whole point is, it's
Yeah.
not, you're not going to lose your job to this person because they can do it. You're going to lose the job to the guy that can do this, but then knows at least the application enough to say, hey,
Yeah.
I've induced these pieces and I've got to fix these
Yeah.
backdoors, these vulnerabilities, these other things.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
anyways,
I mean, it's
very interesting.
crazy. I haven't written a piece of my own code in a year or two now. And I used to be a DevOps person, writing my own PowerShell code for, thousands of lines of code. I haven't written my own code in over a year. because Claude can do it for me in 5, 10 minutes, and
Right.
it's perfect. But I always tell people, like I used to tell my students when I was still teaching, but I don't have time to teach anymore, is like they need to be learning AI. You need, even though the school's telling you don't, it's like you guys need to start using it because you're entering into a job market where your world is really going to get rocked by it over the next decade. You
Right.
better start learning it. But I would always warn them is like, don't rely on this if you can't read the code. If you don't know what that code can do, you're running into danger. And the other reality too is like if these people had just a little bit more knowledge, they could vibe code, but then have the AI engine test it, look
Right.
for vulnerabilities, tell it to use secure development lifecycle principles, make sure, and then have it scanned after you're done. It's like
Right.
there was a big breach. There was a big breach 5 or 6 months ago on a big platform that had, it was all social driven. It was a very popular platform,
Right.
but it got hacked 3 ways to Sunday because it was filled with holes and it was all vibe coded. And it released like tens of thousands of pieces of private information because you had to create an account to go do the thing to watch whatever was going on. But it's like it does lead to an issue. Like
Crazy.
there's a, yeah, it is crazy. It's amazing stuff what it can do, but you have to be cognizant of the potential for disaster. That's just it. You have to be. There we talked to a lot of lawyers around this because we're, again, networking 101. We're meeting so many fascinating people, and we're meeting a
Right.
lot of, we were just at an AI summit yesterday with a woman who's like the AI, she leads an AI strike team for the state of Pennsylvania, and we're going to partner with her here soon. And litigation is where AI is going to be controlled. You don't want the government stepping in. And I'll say this out loud. Thank God that Trump is in the office, because if it was a Democrat, they would start squashing all innovation when it came to AI. They would institute something like the European Union AI Act, which is killing innovation when it comes to technology. So litigation is how the United States controls things. So there are laws being passed left and right about what you can and cannot do with AI on certain factions.
Right.
Like the state of Pennsylvania just passed, if you're a lawyer and you use AI for anything, you have to show that this document, this proof, whatever you did, that was generated by AI. So things like that are happening all over the place. There are lawsuits across the country that like lawyers are monitoring because that outcome will dictate what happens the next step in terms of what AI is allowed to do and not, well, what you're allowed to use it for and what you can't use it for. So it's really interesting to watch the court cases around AI because that's what's going to lead to controls and good protection mechanisms within the country.
You're talking about regulation.
Regulation, yes, thank you. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, thank you.
Okay. And
Yeah,
I've heard that about Europe, that they're regulating themselves out of existence. Like they're not going to have the opportunity to do it. And that doesn't mean that I think you should be free willy and,
no,
a
no,
bolt of
yeah,
lightning. But at the same
yeah.
time, it does feel like I've heard that.
Well, if you listen to, I think it's Martin Churchill. There's a like trigonometry. They talk about Europe all the time. There's 5 or 6 podcasts out of Europe. I'll send them to you later, and they talk
Okay.
about what's going on in Europe, specifically the Great Britain, England,
Right.
and how they have litigated and basically destroyed their economy because of regulation that is just can't be met. You've destroyed any capability for a business to operate. So, people talk about how many companies have left California over the last year.
Right.
They've been leaving England now for like 3 years because they can't do business in the country anymore. So you have multi-million and billion-dollar companies saying, we're done. We cannot operate here anymore. We're leaving.
And it's chaotic that the country is letting them all leave, because I've heard that. I've heard that that there's quite a few that have actually moved to the U.S.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
to
They're
have
they're
that
gonna
freedom.
yeah, they're gonna move to some place that's friendly to business. And it's like,
Yeah.
why would you not do that? It's the same with, well, we're gonna get political. It's the same
Yeah.
with California. But yeah, litigation, AI is fascinating. It is amazing. If you're not using it, you need to start learning how to use it. It can do amazing things. It can do stupid things if you tell it the wrong thing. It's all about learning how to. The best thing I tell people is, don't tell it what to do. Have a conversation. And again, back to relationship. Have a conversation and let it come up with ideas, and you'll give it a thought, and it'll come up with 10 other things that you would never even thought of and go, that's a good idea.
Right.
I want to do that thing right there. And it
That's
leads to
great.
even better creativity. Because at the end of the day, it's all about creativity. What do you need? What are you trying to create with it?
Uh,
And people miss out on the fact that if you want to learn how to use it, ask it. Ask it. You have a professor sitting in front of you. Tell it, hey, I want to become a good prompt engineer. How do I do that? That thing will keep you busy for a week.
it's amazing, that side of it. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it for the layman in the room. You use it to write the prompts for it, meaning
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
you use the thing to get the thing to get better at it. You
Yeah.
have, as you said, I mean, I've listened to Gary V,
Oh,
because where he says, like, I've had a 10-minute conversation with my AI. I'm having this in deep, and it
yeah.
feels like the more that you do that, that the better what you get out of it is.
Yeah, some of them, like ChatGPT, learns you. So after you've used ChatGPT for a while, it like learns your personality, learns your typing style. It gets
Right.
better at becoming like a almost a friend who understands you a little bit better. It can be annoying at sometimes because, like, I want you to forget about that part right now. I'm focused on this other thing
Right.
right here that has nothing to do with that. But yeah, it's a if people, like, everybody likes to talk about hallucinations with AI, and my experience is that most of the time hallucinations are because your prompt was bad. You didn't explain what you were trying to get correctly, and you forced the AI into making up bullshit to fit your answer.
It is not capable of dealing with broad statements. It wants you to be very prescriptive, subscriptive, whatever
Yeah.
the sniper kind of
Yeah.
thought process, and be very focused. And if you
Yeah.
do that, you're right. I think the
Yeah.
hallucinations come from being vague.
Yeah. And you can also mitigate that by one line in your prompt that tells it, do not hallucinate or make up data. If you are unsure of something, ask me. That will save you tons of pain if you give it that one little rule. There's a thing within, if you're a hardcore prompt engineer guy, like you live and breathe and that's your job. There are tools out there where you can store prompts.
Right.
So instead of reinventing the wheel every freaking time, you have a list of prompts that set the stage, paste it in, and then give it what you're trying to do. Because it's set the tone. What are you talking as? I want you to be a cybersecurity expert. I'm trying to create a report, a PowerPoint document for this. Here's the subject, and then maybe some other stuff, and give it this, set the stage for what you want it to create for you.
Yeah, you give it a persona. You give it, hey,
Yeah.
this is what I want you to do. I've got a buddy who's on the podcast, who he is a huge Alex Hormozy fan,
Oh yeah, that guy.
and he'll do his prompt, and that'll be the last line, which will say, and put it into the Alex Hormozy's format.
Which he's probably using just the rules of a prompt. That's all.
Yeah.
There are rules. Everybody who's listening to this, go to your AI and ask it, what are the rules for prompt engineering? And it'll spit back the format that you should use every single time that first prompt is written.
Right.
Yeah.
Good.
Stuff.
That was a good one. Yeah, good stuff. Thank you. All right, so I'm wrapping us up. I'm going to bring us in
Cool.
for landing. Thank you. I find it very interesting, your transition from engineer to business owner. I love the growth.
Oh,
Love having the conversations about sales and you picking my brain because
yeah.
it's sort of how I've lived my life. But go
Yeah.
ahead.
Well, yeah, I'll tell you what. The one thing that I will say is, like, I went from working big enterprise, six-figure salary, multiple six-figure salary, down to no income, trying to get the hustle on. And I've had more fun in the last 6 months than I've had in like 10 years. So I highly tell everybody, start your own friggin' business. Go do it yourself.
Yeah, it's. I was going to say money isn't everything, and it sounds like
Mm-mm.
you've at least hit that. That's great. Thank you. I'm gonna
Th-
until next time. Thanks, Brian. You
Thank
guys, I
you.
think there it is. Follow Brian it's down at the bottom.
Oh,
You're gonna have to explain
nice.
the whole iron and silk thing to me next time.
Okay.
And
That's a good
yeah,
story.
yeah, awesome. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday.
You too, man. Take care, brother.
Take
Bye.
care. See ya. Bye.